Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Kyle.
And we are your Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners with Cersei 7 on deck. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
A little sleepy.
Hopefully better. We've been a little off track, a little sleepy. Yeah.
We're doing good, though.
Oh, gosh.
This chapter will wake me up. These beers will wake me
Nelson's going to sleep mid-chapter. I thought we got rid of Glow.
Yeah, we booted him. Dropped him like a bad habit.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on Cersei 7?
I like this one, right? Like, I mean, we get a little more.
Cersei's great.
The Cerseis are always good. Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to. I don't want to. We can get through it. I think that'll probably be better.
You like the ending. I know it, you weirdo. You heard that's at work today. You're basically reading smut at work.
I guess there really wasn't really that much in here. I've read worse.
Oh God.
But I was always gonna say I like to see the Cersei kind of becoming the thing she almost hates. I think, right? Like it felt like she was like Robert did all this awful stuff, and then that was really where the chapter ended.
Like let me see how that actually felt, or like
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was weird, right? Like
yeah.
It's also interesting, like, the way I look at things, like, I don't want to spoil things, but we're getting towards the end, so Jeff and I don't know how all this stuff plays out. So it's interesting, like, to look at some of the decisions she makes, and, like, when you're in her mind, they all seem like bad decisions, because, like, her thought process is bad. But when you, like, look at it, like, kind of black and white on paper, just lay out, like, what she's doing, again, some of it sounds really bad on paper. Some of it seems like, maybe she did the right thing there, and we'll get to some of that as we go. But I think that's kind of interesting to look at it, too, the way I, like, take notes, like,
broken clock kind of idea, right? Like or whatever. Like the shittiest person you just agreed with the shittiest person. Like it happens, right? Like sometimes they have okay takes or some kind
accidentally succeeding, right?
Yeah, I mean we'll get into it, but like the worst thing. I mean, she even says that like it's this a win-win, and it kind of is, right? But like I don't know, like it doesn't seem like she's doing it for the right reasons or anything. So yeah, we'll get into
some of it. So starts off big news.
Marjorie.
Wow, nobody cares about my.
Oh, Jeff, what do you think?
Nah, it's okay. Just give on.
I feel like you said you liked it.
It's okay. It's all right.
Go ahead. Well, yeah, let's hear
you liked it. You like Cersei's.
No, that's enough, I guess.
All right, starts off.
All right, so I'll say this: reading. This is a problem just for me in general. Reading, I don't read for pleasure. So like, I'm reading to get through this thing. It's been how I've always read.
Yeah.
Second time reading this through and just like actually reading for comprehension and like taking the notes through it. This chapter's way better. Like these chapters they're all pretty much better except for the walking around Brienne chapter. But like
that's funny.
Just being able to dive in and actually like maybe picking up on a nuance here or there that obviously Kyle
definitely
and the second time through helps a lot for sure. So that makes this chapter even a lot better for me in ways that I probably can't say.
Even the introspection.
Yeah, I think I've said before, like I think before this read through, I might have claimed I've definitely done it at some points. I don't know if I've done it on the podcast. Claimed that Feast of Crows is my favorite book. I don't know if I would still say that after going through it like really deep. I think Storm of Swords, there's just like so much going on, and it's all like big impact. But I think like Feast of Crows has what Jeff's saying. We're like on a reread, there's some stuff that like pops out, and like when you're going through, even I don't even know if it's reread, but like more nuance, kind of like what happened in the last Brienne chapter. Like some of that stuff is like subtly woven through, and I think it pops out on a reread.
Yeah. All right. So we start off in the throne room, and Marjorie has awoken everybody to talk about the attack that we know has occurred on the shields, and the opening of the Mander, right? Kind of the vulnerability.
Yep, mouth of the Mander.
And Cersei had to get pulled out of bed for it. So Marge is up there, demanding movement. Let's get some troops in the air.
Yeah, I don't know if Marjorie even is trying to be more demanding than normal. It's just like her choice of words are really not sitting well with Cersei. She keeps saying like, we must do this. Like we have to. And I think Marjorie's just thinking like
Well, I think it's just an attack close to home. So it's like, let's go. We need to defend this shit. Like,
sure. But like later, I mean, Loras wants the same thing as Marjorie. And later Loras is like, your grace, I beg of you, please. Like I feel like Marjorie has a very emotional reaction where she's not thinking through her words.
Can I cut you off a little bit?
Go ahead.
She's also the queen.
True.
It's complicated.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Like, Marjorie is how old?
16?
17,
I thought at least 16.
Yeah, 16, 17.
Yeah, so she should be old enough. Like, if she was, like, if Tommen was her age, he would probably be ruling.
Joffrey technically was, right? I mean, I know Cersei was still in charge, but
Yeah, but it's a thing where, like, I guess the way I see it is Tommen is in charge. Like, Tommen is the king, and if the king isn't old enough,
I do.
It doesn't default to his wife. It defaults to like the hand,
the queen
or
regent.
the queen regent. Yeah, like again, it's complicated. I don't think it's black and white, but
Marjorie, whatever it is, what it is. Marjorie's more of a title than a role.
Well, and it seems like even all the
At
power
this point,
Marjorie's
at
been
least, for
trying
sure.
to gain throughout the book has been through Tommen. Right? She's trying to basically win over Tommen so that Tommen will back her up. Because
And
again, it is
the
complicated.
people.
Who has higher say between her and Cersei? The right answer is whichever one Tommen ends up saying, me. Right?
let me also say, I don't know that we know enough about her to see that she's trying to win over Tommen. Like, she could just be a nice person.
Exactly. That's true too.
Right? Like, we don't know enough about her.
I think a lot of times people put motives behind her because this is Game of Thrones and people think everybody's scheming. But yeah,
Sure.
she is just a kid, so she might just be like kind of like Sansa.
I mean, we're hearing it from her enemy's perspective. We're not hearing it from a Tyrell, loyalist. So, she's
We
feeding,
don't have her chapter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's feeding the people. She's kissing babies. She's taking Tommen out on
Oh, I got you.
rides. Like, it's just like, oh, she's just trying to win everybody over with her beauty and love, and
She could just be a good leader.
she could
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think to Kyle's point is like Sansa probably would have done that kind of stuff too, and she like we don't think Sansa would have been scheming, right? She was just being a little
Sure,
girl. So
sure.
Cersei might be attributing something that's
Absolutely.
Not there.
Again, like I said.
But yeah.
Projection.
So they start comparing the options that they have. What can they do? What with what? They don't have really much. The fleet's kind of getting built still. There's a couple ships that might be ready, but they're not even manned yet.
Yep.
I like that part, right? Because it was kind of like Cersei went too big. We had this discussion the other time about how many fucking people these ships were going to need. She went so big that like now they can't even like. It's like sure you got Harrenhal, but you can't even fix the tower because like nobody can live in it, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have people to even need to live in it. Like it's the same as the boat. Like sure we got the sick boat, but like nobody can row it. It's not done yet, but nobody can row it. Yep.
Yeah, I took it was more of the problem is that it just wasn't done yet, but I think that's probably part of it too.
Like,
Like,
she would have picked some normal, reasonable sized boats. I think some of them would have been finished by now. Is what I'm saying. Like, right?
yeah, like I think we heard the Lord Tywin ship has 800 oars, which just doesn't seem like reasonable.
Well, yeah, it's like just get some of them out that you can get out, right? Like get a few that you can use, and then maybe make your nice one.
Yeah. So one thing I'll mention here is they're in the throne room. Cersei's not on the throne. She's on like a golden crimson throne at the base of the Iron Throne. And we pretty much got everybody here, though. We got Harry Swift, the Hand, Orton Merryweather. He's Lord of Justice here, I think. Araine Waters, the Admiral, was talking about the ships. Qyburn's here. Pycelle's here. Boros, Meryn, and Osmond are the ones who are on guard. Loras is also here, so we have a lot of the Kingsguard here. And it's the middle of the night. I think Jeff did mention this, but pretty much everyone... Well, at least Meryn and Boros and Osmond don't really give a fuck. They're sleeping on their feet. Loras and Marjorie are definitely attentive. Everybody else, like Pycelle, I think she says Pycelle's half fallen asleep. But yeah, so kind of just setting the stage there. But yeah, they're talking about the ships. What are the options? Ours aren't ready, not quite done yet, and are not manned, which is weird because then later we send Loras off on one of them. So at least one of them is done. But
yeah, Cersei, they said, I think could get there, right? Like,
yeah. Or like we'll man that one first, I guess, or crew that one
you
first.
Get all the oars on Cersei and they'll make the trip. But and the Arbor fleet, the Red Wines, are currently sieging
Storm's End?
Dragonstone.
It's weird. They say they're ferrying men to Dragonstone, which is weird. That doesn't seem like a long-term thing. But then Qyburn later says that they're supplying Dragonstone. So they're bringing food, but they're also blockading Storm's End. So they're kind of sieging both Dragonstone and Storm's End, as how I see it. I guess. The Red Wine fleet is being used at both those places, Dragonstone and Storm's End right now, which is kind of what it boils down to.
Too important. We have more important shit closer to home is pretty much Cersei's answer.
Yeah. When they talk about specifics on the Greyjoy attack, they do mention it's the first time that the Greyjoys have raided in the Reach since Dagon Greyjoy.
Never heard of that guy.
We have heard of this guy.
Nah.
In Duncan Egg. In the Sworn Sword.
Oh, gosh.
Dunk considers going and fighting, I think, with people in the Reach against
he's probably Dunk's cousin.
the Ironborn who are raiding. So just a little Duncan Egg sprinkle from George. Love it. Appreciate that. Always. Especially in a random Cersei chapter.
The cool part about it
for that.
was Cersei just wishing that Robb had killed all of the Greyjoys when he was in a war against them and just
Robert, yeah.
Robert, yeah, put him in the water back then and not have to deal with him now.
Yeah, that's what Tywin would have done.
Which is a little crazy. Maybe we can talk about that. I don't think we're there yet. So, or no, we already did talk about it. Yeah, no. What I was gonna say is like it's kind of funny because like didn't Tywin also say like when a man's on his knees you gotta let him up, otherwise like nobody's gonna like
I do recall
fight
that
for you.
line.
So for her to attribute this like Tywin, and I mean well we have the Reigns of Castamere as well, so like we do know Tywin would smash, but like I don't know, it's kind of weird, right? Like if this. I don't know the story of the Greyjoy Rebellion well enough, I guess, to know were they surrendering or whatever. Does she misread Tywin here? Is kind of my question, and I don't know you can answer it.
I mean, they gave up hostages. Like Theon is a hostage, right, from that rebellion.
Yeah,
they won,
true.
Killed a bunch of the Greyjoy other sons, took the only last son, so they definitely like kneeled at some point.
Yeah, so I guess like would Tywin have really smashed them then? What do you guys think on that?
I don't know. I
don't
think you're
think
right
so,
that
no.
I think Tywin is situational. He deals with different things depending on the situation. She is assuming Tywin treats everything like the Reigns of Castamere. Is how I think Cersei thinks about her dad. Even though that's not really how her
Isn't
dad
there
is.
an underlying thing too about the Castameres? Like they were like kind of.
It was part of his dad's fault. His dad was weak, and like basically the Castameres were like, we're not going to pay back our loans, and the dad was like, oh, that's okay.
And weren't they like they were kind of like changing the name or like throwing shade at the Lannister name, which is like almost maybe a bigger insult than like just trying to start a war in people's eyes, right? Like
yeah. I think it was like the Lannisters were like the Starks and the Reyns and the Tarbecks. The Tarbecks basically got the same treatment as the Reyns, but they didn't get a song written about them, so people don't remember them. The Tarbecks, I think, had actually kidnapped one of the Lannisters too, but they both got completely demolished. But I think basically, if you attribute it to like houses we're more familiar with, if the Lannisters or the Starks, I think it's like the Boltons and the Manderleys. And it's like if Ned was like really weak and just like kind of letting those houses, which are already big northern houses, kind of get a little too big in their britches.
do what they wanted.
Exactly. I think it was just more of like he had to deal with them harshly because they were a really big threat that he didn't want bubbling
I guess
up
that's
again.
about the other side. I didn't realize how big they were.
And to send a message, right? Once you've sent the message, you don't got to do that every time. People know that you're willing to do that.
Yeah.
Right, I think it's part of it. So, but again, I think that it boils down to Tywin is situational, basically what Kyle was saying. But Cersei sees him through one lens.
Sure,
is the
I completely
firm
agree.
fist.
And she has taken that perspective as like the only way you can rule. Like that's the only way a king, like a proper king, should do it.
That's kind of my point exactly, Jeff. Right? Like, I'm agreeing with you here. They like she's got this like twisted idea in her head that like, oh, I'm doing it exactly as Tywin, and it's like I don't know that you are really.
Yeah.
Like she seems to have missed a lot of the plot, I guess.
And again, it goes back to her probably missing half of the training, right? Like,
well, that's true too. Yeah, you're right. That it's not all her fault. Yeah.
She probably only hears like the main crazy stories that get passed around the
that's a good
sewing
point.
table, right? When she was
She
a
can
kid.
sew a mean dress, but she doesn't know how to do war things. Exactly.
Yeah. So
okay.
The curious question to them is, or for them, is why are they ready to attack now? Like, what changed? It's been
New
so
king.
long. Like, what's going on? And we get Euron's been there. Qyburn has that whisper, and then our guy Pycelle, man, he's doing his anti-Cersei. He was on the other side, pretty much the other side of the aisle the whole night.
He's always speaking his mind.
I mean, he had a good point here, though. He's like, look, they're not. If we push back, like they should just run back home.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know that if they have 1,000 ships, they would just run back home. But I think it would definitely make them change their mind if another enemy fleet showed up, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what Marjorie says. She's like, they got 1,000 ships. This isn't just like a normal Greyjoy reaving. And she gives a little update of what the news from the Shields. I think we knew most of this. Lord Chester is dead. He was the Lord of Greenshield. Lord Humphrey is dead. He was the Lord of Oakenshield. He wasn't dead. We actually saw this guy. He was tied up with a radish in his mouth, watching his family serve naked.
So do we think he's dead now, or
he's dead now? Is what the news Marjorie has.
You're confirming. You're confirming.
That's what Marjorie says. So
Okay.
Marjorie might have bad information, but that's what she says in the chapter. Yep. Lord Osbert Seri, Lord of Southshield, fled to Highgarden.
Which his son died on the ship.
That's the
right?
guy in the boat.
Got tossed.
Exactly. His son Talbot Seri is one that Victarion killed. Yep. And she says that his heir is dead, and Lord Guthor Grim, Lord of Greyshield, is captive in his own castle. We heard about this. Do you guys anybody remember anything about this? It was kind of badass, actually. Harris Harlaw is now the Lord of Greyshield.
He had to send down like a dude. Like he kept sending down dudes to fight him.
He was like, yeah, he showed up and he's like, just
One-on-one?
send people to 1v1 me until you're ready to yield the castle.
Yeah.
And after 7 people they yielded the castle. So yeah, this guy
There you go.
didn't get
I
killed.
remembered it for you, Nelson.
Yep, there you go. Good job.
Give me a point.
And Willis Tyrell, last thing Marjorie says is he sent word that the Iron Men have put their own lords in place. Basically, we heard that too, right? So he didn't say which ones, but yeah.
And she's like, that idiot, he just didn't man the... Like, he's like... Or she even says this like a couple times, right?
Willis. Like, Marjorie brings up Willis is trying to get ready.
It's all his fault.
Yeah.
But we got the chapter that was like, oh, we did sneak in, which people had said, right? Like, they reported to her, oh, they went way out west.
You mean out of sight of the land is what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's west, right?
Yes. What's west of Westeros?
West. More west.
Yeah, more sea. Sunset Sea.
Well, I guess it becomes east eventually. If it's around...
Is it a sphere?
Anyway.
What's west?
Yeah. Yeah, but she just straight up blames him. Like, oh, this fucking cripple can't do anything right. But it's like, we know well enough that, like, they had no chance.
They had everything. They had a great plan.
Yeah.
Great naval strategy.
Yeah.
They needed a chain. If they would have had a big-ass chain, they could have maybe...
Really big chain.
Yeah, I guess it would be a pretty big chain. But at some point, you should have a chain.
Well, no? I guess you're right. At some point, the Mander gets skinny enough where a chain's feasible. Yeah, not out of the Shield Islands, but yeah, it'll stop him from getting the whole way up. Yeah, Tyrion's just a genius.
Or just take, you might have to chalk it up, like, and this is what I kind of thought they were getting to later on, and I'll just say it now so don't forget. Like, you have a couple galleys, you have a couple ships, you're going to have to sink a couple and make a blockade, like...
One-on-one. Like, they're going to pinch down eventually that if you're up the river, it's going to be narrow enough that they can't get the whole fleet on you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You have to sink a couple and make it a one-way. I don't know. Like...
I know what you're saying.
I mean, the bridge of ships happened because of that was partly because of the chain. But yeah, I guess you're saying once it gets narrow enough, that'll just happen anyway.
Yeah. All right. And someone had the idea. I forget who. Stannis is probably playing a part in all of this. Yeah,
that's Cersei's suggestion. The last thing before that is she's like, I want some wine. I wish I had some Arbor Gold. Better get it in while it's lasting. If the Iron Men keep going, we're out of wine.
Yeah, she might be gone.
Well, that's like, fuck her, right? That's the only thing that matters to her. Is And
we find out later she had like a flagon of wine at dinner, and then she has a little more with Felice later. So yeah, she woke up probably a little tipsy. She's drunk in the meeting. So
maybe
she's not drunk, but she's tipsy for sure.
I think she seems always drunk. The first I feel like the first thing that always happens is like, bring me some wine.
Yeah, washing down breakfast with ale. They never drink water. Nobody asks for water ever.
Yeah. Well, isn't there a movie where like the water's dirtier than the ale?
Well, that's like, isn't that the point of beer?
It doesn't make sense to me because isn't like water a main ingredient in ale though? Like if you don't have clean water, how do you make clean ale?
You boil it and like distill it and strain it, and
you could do that with just normal water too. Just not put the yeast.
Yeah, but if you're gonna drink, you might as well get drunk.
Might as well. If you're gonna go through the effort, might as well throw in some hops.
Well, some of that stuff goes bad if it's barrel. Like if you leave a bottle of water outside, it doesn't. Have you ever drank old water in a can?
It all the time. Look at me, still alive and kicking.
I mean, like years old or like months.
It'd have to be probably like a decade old.
No, it can grow shit in it, man. So like you that's like the whole point of the.
It's all good for you. It's organic.
That's like the whole point of beer. I'm pretty sure it was like the original way to kind of ship this stuff.
Isn't that what beer is? Is growing shit in there? Kind of.
Yeah, but it's like stuff you want versus like if there's contaminants, that's bad.
Don't tell me. I want it all. Don't tell me what I want. Let's move on.
I meant like the good stuff, the flavors and the yeast. All
right, so to Stannis being playing a part, Pycelle doesn't seem the point, but Cersei's like, anything to divert us off of Dragonstone, Stannis will do.
Also, did you guys catch this? Cersei says maybe Stannis had a hand. She says Balon offered Tywin an alliance. Perhaps the Sun has offered one to Stannis. The Sun isn't in charge. It's Euron. We just talked about this, Cersei. Like,
yeah.
She ain't paying attention.
That might be a George typo, but I think he's just like having Cersei not care about this enough to actually care about it, right?
Or she's just trying to like still follow the... Right, it doesn't make much sense because they literally just told you that it was Euron. Maybe she doesn't know.
No, I think they literally said the brother, the Crow's Eye, his brother.
Yeah, their new king, Lord Balon's brother, the Crow's Eye, he is called.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's more her not even paying attention to what...
Yeah, she just doesn't care, I think,
Or she's drunk.
Or drunk, not paying attention, doesn't
we
care.
We just talked about that.
Yeah, and Pycelle's like, it's stupid. He's not...
Why? Cersei, explain why you think it would be Stannis. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Exactly.
And the biggest reason, because he's already trying to join up with the Northmen and kind of throwing a campaign up there, which the Greyjoys just... burnt down.
The
Greyjoys in the North are not on good terms right now.
Yeah, he's like, they're not going to be friends. He's not going to be friends with two enemies, right? Like, that's not going to happen. Stannis is not going to unite the North and
the enemy of
the
my
West.
friend is not my friend.
The Iron Islands.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. As soon as she suggests this, Orton Merriweather's like, "You're so smart to see through Stannis' clever ploy."
Yeah. Well, maybe it is Stannis. We haven't heard that Raven come down, but Cersei shuts it all down, right?
Well, she says that Pycelle's argument basically is stupid because Stannis isn't going to win the North. We already know. We already have the Manderleys. We have Roose Bolton up there right now doing stuff. People are already joining his side.
They're all on our side. They're our side, not their side.
Her argument is that Stannis' only potential allies at this point are the Wildlings or the Greyjoys. Which, to be fair, we don't know any better than that. We saw Stannis save Jon do the North, the Night's Watch, right? The Night's Watch is not the North. Those are two different things. Do they give a fuck about each other? Ned did.
Well, yeah.
But
what I was going to say is, and Stannis, we have seen him kind of try and join with the Wildlings.
Yeah.
So part of that's true.
Yeah. So again, it's one of the things where Cersei, again, her mind, the way she thinks about things is like, you're crazy. But like, to put it on paper, she's kind of right about this, that it seems like the North they kind of have the North on their side for the most part, at least. There might be a few houses that we don't know about that are like, fuck the Boltons, but.
I mean, we do know, if there's anything we know about the North, is that they weren't, I don't think everybody hopped on board with what occurred at the Twins.
It seemed like people were pissed off at first, but I mean, again, time's gone by. The Boltons are in charge now. We've heard.
Winter's coming.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I think. That was one of the things they said.
We can't fight forever. We need to get some food in our stores.
And the Manderleys have proved it with Davos's head and hands. So
she used the right equation, got the wrong solution. Kind of thing, right? Like she did all the work wrong at the end. It came out with the wrong answer. Like Stannis isn't trying to do a diversion here.
She just blames Stannis for everything.
Exactly. So that's kind of what I'm saying. But she picked the right things though, right? Like she's saying smart stuff.
She might be that she actually makes sense for this one. Yeah.
But he doesn't. We know he has nothing to do with this. So
I don't know. I think this is one of the benefits of kind of splitting the book this way, where we haven't seen Stannis probably at this. I mean, I haven't checked the timeline, but it's probably been months, like timeline wise, since we've seen what's going on the wall.
Timeline doesn't matter.
There's a chance he did. I mean, we've seen what happened on the Ironborn side, so we know that they aren't talking to Stannis, right? We've seen it from Victarion side, unless Euron's doing it and we don't know. Like he's not telling Victarion.
Well, he would have had to have gone way north to come way south, or do it before Stannis went north.
Sent a Raven or sent one person or something.
I guess, but
yeah, again, we've seen it from the Greyjoy side, so it's unlikely. But again, it kind of does make sense from just on paper point of view, I guess.
I was going to say this was about the first time where that kind of came into focus for me, that like the whole split books.
Yeah.
Because I knew that you had said that before, like people get upset about it. It didn't make me upset at this time, but it was the first time I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's kind of the region we're not learning about this time.
Yeah, pretty much
like these are the people that are left out of this book. North, it's going to be the North. Yeah.
Yeah, Sam had a chapter or two up there at the very beginning, but he quickly left. So we really haven't seen North of the Neck since Sam left.
Yeah, which wasn't much at all. He was already on the ship, right? He was kind of reflecting. Or was he walking from the library?
I think Sam...
It doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there.
It doesn't matter.
All right, so it all boiled down to basically Cersei saying, like, well, it's High Garden territory. Higher Garden's going to have to answer to it. And Marge's like, yeah, fuck yeah, we are. Willis and Garland are we're already taking steps. We're doing deals.
And again, I think this makes sense. It seems like Cersei's kind of being a bitch here, which she is. She's being a bitch, obviously, but... This is just how it works.
I'm sure her time worked.
There's no royal army. Like, what is Cersei supposed to do? Like, if it's a really, really big threat, she might command the Dornish and the Stormlands to send people too. But like, normally it's like up to you to deal with your shit, right?
And that's their boats. They could go, okay, then give us our boats back.
That's where it gets weird. Yes,
I do think there's twofold too. Like, we've now are married. Like, we're one of two. You also we're talking about the Reach here, which we know is where most of the money for this kingdom is coming from right now, and supplies and food and yada yada. So, like, if you want to have any semblance of your kingdom, we're talking about like the best part of the land right now. Like, you better defend this part. Not only because it's my name and my home, but I think there's a lot of resources there that they need. But I do think the biggest one is because it's the Queen's home. Like, they're one family now. Like, I know they're not acting like that. Cersei's never going to act like that. But
it's also one kingdom.
Yeah, that was my point. Is it shouldn't even matter that they're married. Cersei's responsibility as queen is to defend everybody. And I guess the argument with my original point, I'm starting to I think you guys are convincing me against it, is like, this is the Ironborn attacking. That's like just that, like, you, if you're the queen, you have to pick a side. If you just say like, defend yourself, that's basically just like saying like, okay, you two kingdoms, you two of the 7 kingdoms, just have at it. Like, you have to support. If like, you can't just be like, oh, we support you, and then not actually just say it.
Just,
well, the attacking
support
one
the defender,
probably,
typically.
Yeah, right. The attacker is probably in the wrong. I was going to say it like this. I also think that Marjorie's also kind of like in belief that, all right, we're taking the siege off Storm's End. Like, we need my father's men. We need that army, navy, whatever it is. Like, that's now got to change. Like, Storm's End can chill for maybe a second, or you got to put some people on Storm's End, because like it just an assumption that she would get her father's men. Which, if this was Castle Rock that we're talking about, you bet your bottom dollar Cersei's calling off the dogs at River Run, and they're heading west to the Castle Rock. So
100%.
And that's a good point. Whenever I said like, okay, yeah, leave it to the Reach to defend it, that's a great point. Is like, okay, well, most of the Reach's army is already doing something for Cersei, and the entire Reach's fleet is doing something for Cersei. So if you do let them defend it, then that's what Cersei is. It basically she's saying
telling them to
yourself,
go home,
but you also can't defend yourself. It's kind of what Cersei's doing.
But not with my people.
Not with the people that I need. Yeah.
It's
And I will say, I do believe I'm kind of going back on what one thing you said. I know, like, not in name, there's not a royal army, but I do feel like once there's a new, like, someone's in charge, you obviously have all of King's Landing now that you can recruit people from, which is growing your army, right? So like, it's going to be under your family name, but obviously once you become king, you're going to have the biggest army, because you have a whole Kingsland, right? That is now your bannerman too.
Yeah, I disagree with myself on that point. You guys talked me out of it, because like, if this wasn't wartime, right, and all the 7 kingdoms are at peace, Stannis doesn't exist, and the Ironborn decide to raid the Reach, Cersei should probably tell some Dornishmen and some Stormlands and some Westermen to go. Like, everyone in the area come help.
Everyone's pulling together.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I agree. I kind of, you guys convinced me off that one.
Yeah. All right. So Cersei's like, no, we're not lifting the siege for some rocks that you guys didn't protect. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Hang on. So the crazy thing about this to me is that Mace doesn't seem to know. Right? Like, this is still, like, what would he think of this, right?
He's out in the field. How's he going to know? They can't just, like, send a letter to Storm's End and be like, hey, take this outside to Mance. He's on the other team.
Hey, take this outside.
That's what I'm saying, right? Yeah, but I think if he finds this out, I think he's going to fucking peace out.
You're sure Mance is going to be like, I don't give a fuck what Cersei says.
Yes.
And Cersei mentions later that she's kind of worried about Mance's army for a different reason, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, so.
All right, well, then we'll talk about this all then. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, Jeff.
No, good. So we're not lifting the siege for some rocks. And she was like, you better rally the troops. Like, you got some ships, you got some fishermen. Get out there on the Mander.
I think this is where Marjorie forgets herself. Cersei says rocks, and Marjorie's like, rocks? Did you just say rocks? And Loras has to like put a little hand on the shoulder and be like, yo.
But I don't think Marjorie lost herself here. I think Cersei lost her mind here to call fucking land that goddamn people lived on. People died. Like, what are you talking about?
In service of you. Like, in the grand scheme of thing, again, it's all in service.
I mean, I agree. Cersei isn't great with her words. She might be a little drunk here, but
it's purposeful for sure.
I understand. You're allowed to hate her here. That's
my point. Is I guess like Marjorie at the moment, and we had this argument earlier. Like, is this how it should be? That's up in the air. But in the moment, she isn't in a position of power. She knows Cersei is. Like, Loras wants the exact same thing. And he
gotta speak truth to power. Fuck these people.
Loras wants the same thing, right? And he's like, I beg of you. Not that it does any better for Loras than it does for Marjorie, but
let's just say if you want to go back into like, where does power truly lie? Like, if the Tyrells are like, all right, fuck it, we're actually going to take over the kingdom right now. They're walking through the door pretty easily, and they're taking shit over.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin and Jaime literally left with any Lannister, like actual Lannisters that are left. I mean, there's not many Tyrells in the city either. There's like just not many like fighting men in the city, but
they're just like further away. They're in River Run. They're in Storm's End. Like, all right, let's both march on King's Landing. Let's see who gets there first.
Well, and Cersei's pissing them all off.
Yeah, right. And King's Landing is pissed off too.
I think Kevin and Jaime would both come back if needed, right? Like, but not if Cersei keeps being Cersei, right? So,
well, Jaime isn't pumped about Cersei either. Yeah, exactly. That's another good point.
Yeah, he was happy to get away. He was like, let me keep going north.
Yeah, but if Cersei sent him a letter saying like, yo,
I'm gonna die. Yeah, you got to come home. I think he would probably come home. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So rally your troops, get some fishermen out there. Like, you got to do what you got to do. I don't know what to tell you. We're not lifting that. We're not lifting it.
Yeah.
You better fight.
So explain what you mean by that. Get some fishermen out there. That's not exactly what she's saying. It's send fishermen. So Marjorie says, like, we can get 10,000 men in a fortnight. We can get 20,000 men.
I mean, they're not trained soldiers.
Boats.
No. I think she's saying we can get soldiers. We can get literally 20,000 soldiers, or at least fighting men in a moon's turn.
They're in fishing boats versus war galleys, and
that's it, exactly.
And the Greyjoy ships that are prepared to fight and are made for what they're trying to do. And they're not. They're out there.
They're not going to stand a chance. Our fleet is at fucking Storm's End. Those boats are up there.
Yeah, I think the boats are the biggest problem. It's not a manpower problem. It's more of a boats problem. Because that's what Cersei says. It's like, don't you have pleasure barges and fishing skiffs? And they're like, yeah, we have fucking rowboats. But, like, we can't row. Like, we could maybe row to the Shield Islands if we were lucky without the Iron Fleet there. But with the Iron Fleet, like, what are you talking about? No way. Like, we need the Red Wine Fleet to protect us so we can get men to the Shield Islands. And that's where it all gets on the Red Wine Fleet.
Yep. So Loras is like, please let them go. He's doing it in a much calmer, like, Queen, I'm begging you way. Or like, that's how Cersei's playing it up, is that he's begging, right? Please release the Red Wine's fleet. And she's like, no, I'm not doing it till Dragonstone is out of Stannis' control. And that's kind of where she's putting the end of it. She's about to move on and be like, all right, Pycelle, like, come walk with me.
Time out, though. There's a weird thing here. She describes the Red Wine fleet. Kyle, do you have your book open? Read. I have it starting. The Pax Red Wine owned 200 warships.
Pax Red Wine owned 200 warships and 5 times as many merchant carracks, wine cogs, trading galleys, and whalers. Red Wine was encamped beneath the walls of Dragonstone, however. The greater part of his fleet was engaged in ferrying men across Blackwater Bay for the assault on that island stronghold. The remainder prowled Shipbreaker Bay to the south, where only their presence prevented Storm's End from being resupplied by sea.
Yep. So they're talking about how crazy 1,000 ships is. And she says Pax Red Wine owned 200 warships, 200, and 5 times as many. What's 5 times 200?
1,000.
1,000. So Pax Red Wine's fleet is 1,200 ships. And this whole conference is about how crazy 1,000 ships is.
But
and if all you're doing at Dragonstone is ferrying people there, again, there must be some type of blockade happening too. But if all they say is we're ferrying people there for the attack, like, you don't need. That's a crazy number of ships to be doing that with, right?
Yeah, but they got a whole blockade. Like, think about a blockade. That's pretty crazy. Like, it's not of like a little island. Like, you're not surrounding an island. You're blocking off a whole coast.
I mean, the Dragonstone is just an island, but Storm's End is more of a bay. Yeah, it's trickier, but I don't know. It seems. I just thought it was crazy that their minds are blown about 1,000 ships being a possibility. No way, someone's counted double.
But I think it's 1,000 ships of death.
1,200.
Yeah,
like,
but
what
again,
are we talking about?
What is who's on the ships too is a big part of it. Like, there's 1,000 warships by the Greyjoys with trained.
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
Sailor warriors, where the Red Wines probably have some cats that are just like, all right, it's your turn, get on the oar.
200 of them are warships.
Yeah, the rest are carracks, wine,
but
cogs,
I think to your point, Nelson, was going back to what they said earlier. Like, if you do throw all 12,000 at them, they're probably turning around, right?
Yeah.
Like
1,200.
1,200. They're probably turning.
You're
around.
right.
So
the other thing is, we were talking about the long ships in the Reaver chapter. We got a comment about this, so I want to bring it up. Remember that we were talking about this? Who had the long ships? Was it the Shield Islands or the Ironborn? Basically, someone commented, "You guys are idiots. This is like one of the best actual historical parallels that George ever does. The Ironborn are supposed to be like Vikings, and the long ships are like Viking long ships.
Okay.
Which are, I guess, were known for being able to do rivers and coasts really,
this kind of stuff,
to do shallow water and sea very well, because they crossed from wherever to England, and then also like went up rivers and stuff.
Scandinavia, maybe.
Yeah, Scandinavia. It's exactly showing my lack of Viking knowledge.
Yeah.
I didn't see the illustration in my book to know that. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, come on, take the criticism. But yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I always like learning new stuff. Jeff can't take any criticism.
Yeah.
I like learning new stuff. I'm very coachable.
I was just kidding. I don't even remember the argument. I don't even remember which side I was on.
I don't remember that happening either. So
we were arguing on which team had long ships. Was it the Ironborn or the Shields?
I was probably right about it.
Yeah, it's a good call by that guy. I appreciate it.
I was probably on the right side.
You were probably right. Yeah, as always. So, yeah.
So, Pycelle, she's like, hey, Pycelle, I need a word with you. And before that, Loras hops up, bam, jumps up to the point of Cersei's frightened by his
Yeah.
agility.
Almost called Osmond, defend me, which would have been
That would have
hilarious.
been a wild scene. Can you imagine? Like, even her probably bouncing back would, like, probably, if anyone was paying attention, they were like, the fuck? She's scared.
Well, I was thinking it would have been hilarious if Osmond tried to fight Loras, just because Loras probably would have kicked his ass. But you mean like it would have been even funnier if she was like, defend me, like as Loras is taking a knee and it's clearly not an aggressive thing.
Yeah, and everyone's like wide eyed, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But he's up. He's like, let me go. Take command of Dragonstone. I will win it for you, and then I can go with the Red Wine fleet to defend Highgarden. Yada yada yada. He wants to be the hero.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. I'll handle your problems so that I can go handle the other problem. Like, if that's what needs to happen first, we'll go take care of that. Let me go take care of that. I don't know. This is kind of comes into the whole Mace thing where it's like, I feel like he's gonna go, like she's kind of sending him right back into the control his army.
Well, the other thing is, what Laura says here is, if we let Paxter do it, it'll take half a year. If you let me do it, it'll take a fortnight. That's 2 weeks. Like, Mace literally can't get back from Storm's End fast enough. So I don't think Mace, if Loras is right on his timeline that I'm going to be there and doing this shit in a fortnight, then like sucks to suck, Mace.
What do you mean?
If that's what I thought you were saying, Mace is going to come back and somehow stop Loras from doing this or help.
No,
Loras
I'm saying he's going. Loras is going to go. That's where he's going.
To Storm's End.
Talk to Mace.
Huh? What are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have the fleet and stuff. There's going to be people there and a way to talk to Mace and gather this together. I don't think they have to go to the exact same place.
You got to tell me what you're saying. I don't understand what you're saying.
I mean, she's sending him close to the fleet. Loras is going to be able to take control of the Tyrell army, no?
Oh,
you think Loras is just going to take the whole fleet and leave? You're not very clear about what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying.
I guess, like, what I'm saying is, like, how isn't this going to end up with him talking to Mace about the whole situation at home?
Mace is in Storm's End, not Dragonstone.
Yeah, they're not really close to each other.
Yeah, but, like, they're going to have a way to talk to each other. You don't think so?
I mean, if you're sending message on a ship, I don't know how long that.
I don't have a map for this chapter, but just look at
maybe I'm putting them closer together than I thought.
Yeah, look at your map book really quick. They're not far, like, as the crow flies, but there's, like, a big stretch of land that, like...
They gotta sail around.
I see Dragonstone.
Then there's the big peninsula below it, south of that.
Oh, I do see Storm's End. Yeah, they're pretty far. They're much further apart than I thought.
Yeah, not as the crow flies. They're not actually that far, but yeah, like, if you're going by ship...
Yeah, but they're like 90 degrees from, like, King's Landing. They're pretty much...
You were basically envisioning the Red Wine fleet doing one big blockade over both.
Yes, yeah.
I got you. I see what I was coming
from.
So
that's my bad on the geography.
No, you're good. You're good.
Westeros.
I thought you were basically saying, like, Loras was going to leave, and then Mace was either going to learn that Loras was doing this and come up to try and stop him, or come up to try and help him, or Loras was trying to do something sneaky with Mace.
Well, yeah, I still don't see how Loras is just going to throw himself at this castle, I guess.
That's what Cersei seems to think is going to happen, right?
I know, yeah.
He's just going to run through the wall. What do you mean? He's going to take it over.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is where I came up with that other theory, is kind of to what would Loras be doing other than this, right? Like, that's kind of what I was trying to think down that path, because I don't have faith into him.
He might not be telling the truth, but he actually says, like, I will rip it down with my bare hands if I have to. Like, I'm going to go take
fired
this
up,
shit.
man. You got to send people... Some people got to, run down on kickoff. All right. So you know that.
Also, I thought Jeff would like this little quote. Cersei, when he says that, Cersei thinks no one had given Cersei such a lovely gift since Sansa Stark had run to divulge Lord Eddard's plans. She was pleased to see that Marjorie had gone pale.
Rat.
A lot of people in the fandom who are like big Sansa supporters, saying Sansa never did anything wrong, say like, Sansa never gave Cersei any information she didn't already know. This is from Cersei's brain saying Sansa telling me what Eddard was doing, sending basically the Stark people away, was a big information drop for me. So yeah, Sansa shit to bed.
I've been trying to tell you guys since book one.
What do you say about corn too?
You plant corn, you get corn. And there's where's the tree? Where's the acorn falling from?
That's the Tully side. The Tully cornfield. We're joking. At this point, us just hating on Sansa and Catelyn is just kind of a joke. So, just kind of a joke.
Yeah. All right. So she's like, yeah. All right, cool. Which we'll get into like the gift of it. I don't think she explains why it's a gift to her yet, but I think she will in a second down the hallway, right? So
yeah,
they start walking. Pycelle's following. He's lagging behind. He's like, yo, this is a stupid plan. Like, we can't send Loras. Like, this is not good. Yeah. Not good to send him right now. And Cersei's like, no, I hope she said this all out loud, right? I don't have it all in my notes, but she's like, no, like he could die there, which is great.
I don't know if she says that. She says he'll probably be the first one over the walls or something, and then thinks to herself, and maybe the first to fall or something like that.
So I didn't have what she's thinking versus what she's saying, but at one point, I guess she doesn't say a whole lot because she just breaks out in laughter, where it's like, the fuck? What the fuck? Kind of like how she jumped. Like, that's kind of the reaction. Like, why the fuck are you laughing right now if he would die? Like, that would have been the reaction if she, like, defend me! Like, I'm in danger. And
that's a good point. I didn't actually... Because it's weird. There's a lot of times you will get, like, someone saying something, then 2 paragraphs of someone thinking, and then, like, a response.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the last thing that was actually said out loud was before she starts laughing. Was it just he might be the first one over the walls?
I'd have to look. I don't recall.
I have no doubt that our Knight of Flowers will be the first man to gain the battlements.
And then is there no words spoken till Cersei starts like?
There's no words. Yeah.
Till she starts cracking up.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Well, yeah.
Like you'd be thinking she's going crazy.
Yeah.
She goes through this whole thing of first to fall, the pox-scarred bastard. Who's that? What's his name again? I don't remember.
I was gonna give it a little. This is a little trivia, big time. We've heard this guy at least 5-10 times. Bastard. So we know you should be able to easily guess the last name. Well, I guess it's one of 7. You don't know where he's from, but you can educate a guess. And then from there's probably not that many we've heard of.
Stoned.
Storm. Roland Storm. The bastard of Night Song is what this guy's name is.
Never heard of that guy before. He's not been mentioned.
He was the commander of the rear guard in the Battle of Blackwater, and he was one of... It's weird. We have heard that Stannis gave him command, I think, in a Sam chapter before, but it's weird... Because we also know that like he was part of who helped Edric get away.
Oh, right.
He's like one of the king's men, right?
Okay.
Like one of the people who was like kind of on Davos' side, loyal to the faith, not to the... And he was like one of the few men, because they were loyal to the faith, Davos like enlisted in his plan to get Edric out. So it's kind of interesting that he would be involved in that and then also get named Castellan. But it does seem like he's a badass fighter. It's even what Cersei says. Like, he's no callow tourney knight. Callow, Game of Thrones word. Jeff?
Doesn't matter.
Mr. Crossword?
Nah, it doesn't. It's not a real word.
I think it means like youthful, like young and adolescent. So he's no adolescent tourney knight. He's a savage killer or something like that. So he's comparing him to
seasoned.
I'm just dropping off vocab.
Yeah, so pretty much she's like, well, he'll kill him, or maybe he'll drown on the way. And oh no, what an ordinary death for this guy seeking bravery.
Yeah.
No matter what, like, this is a win-win. This is kind of what I pointed out earlier with the Loras thing. Like, we're like, yeah, she ended up by accident stumbling upon the answer here, right?
It's a win-win-win. An actual win-win-win, like from The Office. Not the same way.
Win-win-win.
3 wins she thinks of. If he actually wins...
I get Dragonstone.
It's interesting here. She says, I get the castle or Tommy gets the castle, and the Red Wine Fleet gets to go deal with the Iron Men. It's just a quick line, but it makes me seem that she actually does want
someone's got to
Red Wine Fleet to be freed up to go deal with them.
Somebody's got to deal with them.
And I guess before we move on, this is one of the things that I was saying on paper. Like, after this decision, Cersei's decision is Storm's End and Dragonstone are more important than whatever's going on in the Reach. Is that... Like, you kind of have to make a decision, I guess. Right? Like...
I would say Dragonstone's not important just because nobody's really there. That's my opinion.
It's weird because Dragonstone is kind of like the exact... If I'm Cersei, my argument is Dragonstone is to King's Landing as the shields are to Highgarden. Like, it's literally the island at the mouth of our fucking bay. So we want to own that shit. So that's like, if this is the capital, it's more important than your shit. Storm's End is a harder argument, but again, like, I think if you actually look at black and white, it's easy to look at Cersei's judges and just be like, she sucks at thinking, so all her moves are bad. But like, it seems like sometimes she could just luck into doing something that makes sense.
I feel like she's not making any effort to go south to the Mander. And I think that's the problem, Nelson, right? She's like, fuck those rocks.
Yeah.
They can deal with themselves.
And she doesn't say this, but if there are actually 20,000 fighting men in the Reach on land, then like, you have the islands already. You got the Shield Islands. The Arbor is an island. The Arbor is at risk. So that's a big one. But like, Old Town and Highgarden are cities on the mainland. So like, you have 20,000 men. Those should be relatively safe.
I think go through the rest of the wins, Nels, because I think there's really a 4th win with all this too, that she's really like, go ahead. She could win Dragonstone and release the Red Wines. What's the second win? Loras could die.
He loses No, he just loses. He doesn't accomplish what he's trying to accomplish, and then that basically just ruins his reputation.
Yeah, he's the worst knight ever.
Nothing ruins a hero's reputation like a single failure, basically.
Yeah.
And then third win is he dies.
Yeah. I'll say there's a fourth one too, which is just like, in her mind, she thinks the Tyrells are really an enemy to her, right? So anything that could weaken them too in the process is just a side win. It's a sub win. Right, yeah. It's like they're dealing with other shit and not me.
Yeah, well, and I guess on the last part is if he dies, that's a win. What she thinks, because why?
Marjorie's gonna be freed up. She's gonna need consoling from Sir Osney.
Yes, which I don't think that's how that works. Is like, oh, your brother's dead. That makes you super horny, and that's gonna make it easier for Osney.
No, you just need a hug. You just need a hug.
But she thinks that she's banging her brother is the problem, right?
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah, Cersei's projecting in that sense too. Yeah.
Or you just need a hug, and then you kind of slide your way. You throw a little game her way.
Yeah, like a hug can definitely help. I don't know if you're trying to jump in bed with some random.
Well, again, a hug could. You gotta raise her up.
Marjorie might be a freak like that.
Well, that's not what I'm saying.
That's getting cut.
All right. So she also thinks during this whole back and forth of, oh my God, Pycelle, stop fucking arguing with me. I'm done with you. Like, especially after you disagreed with my ruling on giving the High Septon his new defense system.
Yeah. She doesn't say this to him. Before we get to that, she says she thinks about him disagreeing in the past about the ruling with the High Septon. She leaves him on the steps. I have a huge problem with this. What have her and Pycelle just talked about? Since they've left the throne room. One topic.
The Loras?
Loras going to Dragonstone. That's all they've talked about. Before Loras came up to Cersei and took a knee and said, let me go to Dragonstone.
She wanted to talk to him.
She wanted to talk to
Pycelle
had a topic.
Alone. She had a topic to bring up.
Was she drunk and forgot what she wanted to talk to Pycelle about? She couldn't have. I
don't remember that.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
what did she say?
She's like, this audience is at an end. Pycelle, if you were a moment alone or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then Loras was like, no. Then Loras comes up and takes a knee. And then the only thing she talks to Pycelle about is Loras. Like, what?
Well, she forgot.
Again, is this a George fuck up? Or is Cersei drunk here?
I think Cersei's drunk. No, I don't think it's a George fuck up. I think Cersei is drunk and forgot.
I was losing my mind. I'm like, what? But yeah. Again, that's something that I'm guessing most people wouldn't notice. But I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, that can't be what she wanted to talk to him about. And then, so I think the next part's interesting too, what Jeff was getting into. But yeah, I just wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts on that.
I did think about that reading. I'm like, wait, she had something to say too, but nah, she's
she also kind of got over him, right? Like, because he's arguing with her. She's like, all right, fuck you, old man, is kind of where she ended.
Yeah, so maybe she had something and she's like, I don't even want to do. You know what? Fuck.
Yeah, it does make me think what the original, whatever the topic would have been. Like, could have been anything.
If there wasn't a fuck up, what did she want to talk to Pycelle exactly?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, so he obviously disagreed with the High Septon getting his defense system, which we've, the last couple chapters hit on. Qyburn is now like, yo, if Loras does die, that opens up a spot in the Kingsguard. And she's like, all right, Qyburn, like, I don't have the time. Like, think of somebody more gallant than him. Like, get a good fighter in there.
Someone to basically distract Tom and make him forget that Loras ever existed. But not with all the bad shit that Loras had about him. Which, again, I think if Loras was exactly like Loras was, but had a different last name, maybe, and was straight, I think Cersei seems to have a little bit of a problem with his gayness too.
Yeah.
If he was straight and had a different last name, I think she would have no problems with him, like, teaching Tommen to joust and all this stuff.
His last name.
Yeah,
that was on the list.
Okay,
yeah.
Last name and
gayness, I think, are the only two real problems she has with him. So when she's like, but find someone who, like, doesn't have all the same notions in his head. Like, what does that mean? Like, I don't think she's actually trying to be homophobic there. I think she's like, she's just pretending like Loras is this bad guy who's bestowing bad things on Tommen. When really she just wants a Loras that's not a Tyrell.
Probably a great knight trainer.
All she wants, and she's like young, swift, strong. Like, you want Loras that's with a different last name is what you want for Tommen, basically.
She really wants probably Jaime, but I digress.
With two hands.
But they're basically the same.
Young Jaime, is Loras. Jaime even thinks that earlier,
Yeah. And he's like, no, actually, I got a good plan. I got somebody in mind, but I also need some heavy ass armor for my plan.
Yeah, let's read this quote.
Okay.
What he lacks in gallantry, he will give you tenfold in devotion. He will protect your son, kill your enemies, and keep your secrets, and no living man will be able to withstand him.
So you say, words are wind. When the hour is ripe, you may produce this paragon of yours, and we will see if he is all you have promised.
They will sing of him, I swear it.
Lord Qyburn's eyes crinkled with amusement.
Might I ask about the armor?
I have placed your order. The armorer thinks that I am mad. He assures me that no man is strong enough to move and fight in such a weight of plate.
Cersei gave the chainless maester a warning look.
Play me a fool, and you'll die screaming. You are aware of that, I trust.
Always, your grace.
Good. Say no more of this.
The queen is wise. These walls have ears.
So they do.
At night, Cersei sometimes heard soft sounds, even in her own apartments. Mice in the walls, she would tell herself. No more than that.
Yep.
So, it's Tyrion, actually.
I kept that little last bit in there because, and we didn't read this part of the quote, it's a couple paragraphs above, but this quote that we just read is a few paragraphs after this quote. If Sir Loras should fall, your grace will need to find another worthy for the Kingsguard, Lord Qyburn said, as they crossed over the spiked moat that girdled Maegor's holdfast. What do we know about Maegor's holdfast?
It's inside of, there's inner walls.
It's the castle within the castle, and there's no secret path. Tyrion says that there's no secret passages in this castle because Maegor wanted, like, Maegor is the one that basically had the Red Keep built, and he put all the secret passages there, but he didn't want any in his own bedchamber. So there's no secret passages here. They have just crossed over into Maegor's, and Qyburn just tells her the queen is wise, the walls have ears. And Cersei's like, so they do. I hear them in my bedchamber, in my, like, in the walls. I just think it's interesting, like, from what we know, she shouldn't be able to hear people in Maegor's.
Well, but again, maybe it's not.
I mean, she should be just going crazy. Yeah.
Maybe it is mice.
That's my point, is I think it's a 50-50.
Sure.
Maybe Tyrion was wrong and there are secret passages. Maybe Cersei's, we know she's paranoid. Maybe she's, like, super paranoid. But, yeah. So I just thought that was an interesting little tag on to an already interesting quote. So
I'm going to believe the Maegor just because he was the architect, right? Like,
yeah. And he killed all the builders after it was done. Like, he did some weird shit, right? So, yeah.
Well, if you killed the builders, then I don't know if I believe it. Because if you killed them, so then why it doesn't matter.
That was the point of killing him, is so that only you knew where the passages were. Then why
so then why not have them in your ways in your little house so you could
it's a good point around. Yeah. But all the ones we know of are in the Tower of the Hand, right? Like the main ones. That's where Tyrion got into Tywin's. That's how.
Yeah. Go
ahead, Kyle. The rest of the quote. If you had Kyle, did you have any thoughts on the rest of the quote about who's going to be the new Kingsguard member if Loras were to die?
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So, like, was Qyburn around when the Mountain was dying? Qyburn does a lot of weird shit with dying people, it seems.
I think Jaime was there. So Qyburn came with Jaime,
Yeah, Jaime was there for Tyrion's trial.
I mean, so I'm just trying to think of who would be big enough to, like, that's where I'm at, to maintain large armor. So either it would be one of the giants that we've seen north of the wall, or it would be the Mountain, right? Or he's making some other Frankenstein of all these women that he's...
he's about to get another girl.
Cool, because I think the Mountain basically Pycelle's like, we can't save him. Qyburn's like, I can, but then Qyburn has told Cersei at one point, like,
oh yeah, he had him. Okay, so he did have him.
He did have him, but he told Cersei like, we couldn't do it. That the Mountain was screaming. Remember, and Cersei's like, take him down to the black cells.
But then he stopped.
Yeah, but everybody screams for Qyburn is what I'm getting at. So like, he's doing like experiments and Frankenstein shit. It feels like Dr. Frankenstein shit. So.
I don't hate the theory, but the other thing about the Mountain is his head is on the way to Dorne. That's the other thing we know about.
I mean, yeah, we think. I don't know. What's a head with, like, if it's just a skull after the time?
I kind of hope he's making the Rat King of Last of Us with
all these women.
It's just body parts flying around.
Human centipede.
All right, so goes back to our room.
Kyle, just to finalize the theory, Frankenstein Mountain via women's blood,
or like I said, or a giant. Like, who else? Yeah, I mean, something to do with these women. Like, all these people are dying screaming down there. Like, who's to say the Mountain isn't one of them? Like, that he's doing crazy same experiments on or whatever. Like I said, who else or what else would be able to lift this armor?
No, I like it.
Really where I'm at.
Yeah.
It could be the Mountain. It could be some giant that he somehow stole from north of the wall or acquired from north of the wall, or it could be something to do with the women. That one's not a serious one.
Yeah, there's some weird shit with the women going on.
Yeah, I think he's using them for what he's doing with the Mountain or a giant. But
gotcha,
the joke was not the joke, but the alternate was maybe he's doing something with the women to combine all them somehow, like Jeff said.
Yeah. So she gets back to her room, and Taena has been sharing her bed. Cersei's never liked an empty bed. Empty beds are lonely and cold. and Tana's been there more often than not. Doesn't enjoy or inferring she hasn't been sleeping in her husband's bed.
They mention it's the hour of the wolf.
It's midnight.
Kyle, do you have a guess?
It's high moon.
High moon, 3 a.m.
1 a.m. Again, I don't know if this is confirmed. I looked it up. We know the ordering of certain
between
owls.
12 and 1. It's a bracket. It's between 12 and 1. It's a whole hour.
We know like the eel is the hour after sunset and nightingale is the hour before sunset. We know the hour of the wolf is the darkest hour. We know owl somewhere between wolf and eel.
This literally doesn't matter.
I just asked you to take a guess. I was going to tell you who was closer.
I did guess. I was right.
Yeah, and then you try to speculate. Well, I knew the actual answer. You can't try and speculate and then expect me not to tell you the real answer.
No, there's no answer because they don't even know. They are literally guessing on what time it is.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm just telling you another person's speculation. Go ahead.
Well, Tana's there, and Cersei gives her the update on why she was woken up, what's going on, and pretty much leaves to Marjorie soon will be unprotected. Was my take of it was. I think you kind of insinuated that maybe she thinks that they're actually diddling, but I thought it more of her I think sword being gone.
Well, in the last chapter, that seemed to be a big insinuation by Tana, and then Cersei.
But I think her protection is probably more so than anything too. But
yeah,
and this is where she gets into what she's more worried about: the army at Storm's End.
Exactly. So this is what I was kind of alluding to earlier with Kyle. She's no longer protected now that Loras is gone. Tana's like, well, there's still some people around. And Cersei's like, I'm not worried about like some suitors who are around who might have swords on their hips just because they're around to hang out with Marjorie's cousins. I'm worried about the army of Storm's End. And Tana's like, oh, yeah, good point. What are you going to do about that? Right. So it seems like if something happens with Marjorie and we do get Osney, I think what she's implying here, right, is if we do get the Osney-Marjorie thing to happen, then Mace might drop what's going on in Storm's End and come back to try and help
the wagons around. It's time to get my daughter.
I think that's the implication here. And then Tana's like, oh yeah, good point. What are you going to do about that? And Cersei's like, why?
What the fuck? You're asking too many questions.
Why are you asking questions here, girl?
Which is really the first time she's thought of it. Like, this girl's sharing your bed. She's
that's what I was going to say. It's pretty, like, this is your best friend.
High classification conversations. Like, this doesn't seem that out of realm that, I mean, I guess you're not in the one thing is you're not in a question asking role. Like, you can maybe give me some counsel. Like, if I ask for it, maybe you can talk. But like, don't
pillow
be
talk. Pillow talk. Right?
Don't be asking questions right now.
Yeah, and so it is wise for Cersei to catch on. But yeah.
Tana's got some boobs. They're out. I'm sorry, maybe that was too far.
Well,
ahead.
So when Cersei's like, "Why are you asking?" She's like, "You better not be talking to Marjorie." And Tana's like, "Never." And he's like, "If you know,
I'll never betray you."
Like, I'm not Sinel. So Tana says, "I'm not Sinel."
Name drop.
And Cersei's like, "I don't like to think about Sinel. She paid my kindness with betrayal, just like Sansa Stark did." Which again,
all the betrayals,
delusional. We were in Sansa's shoes. You cannot try and claim that Cersei gave her kindness, right? Yes, Sansa probably betrayed Cersei. You can maybe say that's true. You can't say that she gave betrayal in return for kindness. Cersei wasn't being kind to Sansa in any.
No, Cersei isn't even kind to anybody.
Yeah. And she also says that she also gave kindness to her friends Melara, Heatherspoon, and Jean Farman when the three of them were girls, and they must have also betrayed her.
Well, she's like, if those assholes weren't around, I wouldn't have went to that Maggie the Frog, and now here I am.
Never would have gone to the tent, let her taste my marrows and a drop of blood. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all we really hear about that in this chapter, right?
Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, well, her circle is shrinking, is really what's happening.
I have no friends.
Yeah, so.
So now she gets to looking at Tana's boobs, nice boobs, dark. We know George likes his boobs.
George likes his boobs, exactly.
And she starts fantasizing about playing with them, right? Or
she wonders what it would like to be like to kiss a woman and then to use a woman the way that Robert used to use her. Yeah. She doesn't stay on that topic very long. She starts pretty quick, just gets into.
She gets back to it a little bit later, but Rob used to take
plays it out later. But you can kind of see why this thought is in her head once you've read the whole chapter, right? Like she does it later. So yeah, then she just basically starts thinking about Robert a lot.
Yeah, Rob used to take me every night, then less, but he only got me off on our wedding night.
Yeah, I only really liked it the first time.
The part of this here too is like she says that the wrong man came back from the Trident.
Yeah, it's the next part. Right? Yeah, so she wishes.
Okay.
She started she was getting taken. She started to pretend that he was Rhaegar, and she wishes that Rhaegar was the one that came back from the Trident.
It's interesting, too, because we'd heard a little bit about this before. We'd heard that Cersei basically was told, you're going to marry Rhaegar.
Yeah.
And then
that was in King's, or not King's Landing, Castle Rock, right?
There's a tournament going on there or something like that. And she had been told that from like her aunt and I think her dad. And she basically, that's why she wasn't afraid to go to Maggie's tent. Because she was going to basically confirm for her friends that she was going to marry
the king.
Rhaegar. And then it didn't turn out to be that way. So things were weird. And then, so that was when she was a child, though. My point was Rhaegar, she could, I guess here, like at the point, well, let me think how this works.
I don't know what point you're trying to get at.
Aerys is dead, right? Whoever comes back from the Trident, they're coming back to a dead Aerys. Well, I guess, yeah.
No.
What do you mean? Aerys is the king. Jaime killed him.
But maybe
Aerys is dead by the time Robert gets to King's Landing.
Didn't Robert already win though?
Exactly. So if Rhaegar would have won,
maybe Jaime wouldn't have killed.
That's true.
Aerys.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right.
I mean, maybe it's all hypothetical.
No, you're right. It's a timeline thing. There's probably an answer for this that I don't know of. There's probably an answer for this that I just don't know of off the top of my head. Tywin had surrounded
Jaime
the
would have
city.
been there, and maybe she wouldn't have been into Rhaegar.
Didn't Aerys order him to go get Tywin because they were going to lose? Like, ultimately, it was like, all right, fuck it, I'm out. Like, let me do one more thing.
Varys told Aerys, do not let Tywin in. Pycelle said, let Tywin in. And I think he listened to Pycelle. He let Tywin in. Aerys did. And then he started sacking the city, not helping the city.
Yeah.
But the question for me is, did Tywin start sacking the city because he knew...
Because he knew Robert
Because Robert had already won at the Trident.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
was Tywin picking the side?
It's a timeline thing.
It's a timeline thing. Timeline doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but it...
Jeff...
But it's very important right now.
I think you're right, though.
When there's actually not a timeline that we know, it matters.
I think Tywin...
That's my whole point of why timelines don't matter, because we don't even know.
To your point, yeah, like... We don't have chapters from that time, so it's all hearsay, but this is probably one of the ones that's a huge news event. We probably have something pretty sense.
Yeah.
But I guess what I was thinking here is if Rhaegar maybe could have won, she maybe could have married him.
Sure.
But again, I guess that's confusing because Rhaegar had a wife until the sack of King's Landing.
True. Yeah, with a baby.
No, yeah. No, they were already there. Yeah. We know that he came to Castle Rock and they didn't. And then we got Jaime. Jaime became a Kingsguard instead, right? Like
Jaime was a Kingsguard already.
Well, but we knew that he didn't. We knew that Aerys wasn't matching Cersei up at Castle Rock.
My point is, after the Trident, Aerys is dead. So if Rhaegar would have come back, could Cersei maybe have married him at that point? The answer, I think, though, is no.
Probably
if
not.
that plays out, then Rhaegar still has a wife.
He was already married.
He was already married.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Nelson's not mathing right now.
Well, we just went down a 10-minute tangent for no reason.
So one time she does reflect that she did tell Rob, like, yo, I don't like when you come in drunk and just take me like that. Like, I don't like it. You're hurting me. And Rob used to try to play the fool in her mind. Like, he knew what he was doing, and he tried to act all shy about it. Or, it wasn't me. It was the wine.
The booze.
Was this kind of a parallel, do you guys think, to anything else that we've heard of? I don't want to spoil, but I feel like we've heard something very similar to this. I'm
not thinking what you're thinking.
It's related to Jaime. Jaime would have basically thought something similar to this. He used to be on guard outside Aerys' door.
I mean, I remember that story. I don't remember.
And then, like, one night, I think it was after the night. I think
didn't he go in and try and stop something, or?
Well, Jaime didn't. Jaime wanted to stop it, and whoever it was, John, the
other guard told him to stop.
Like, no, we're not here to judge the king or something like that.
We definitely heard that.
Jaime's had a few situations like this, but I think basically Aerys would go to, not often, but he would go to his wife every once in a while, but it was never good when he did. And in the night after he burned the Starks, I think he went and he was really fired up. And the next day she had like bite marks and scratches on her.
Yeah, she was all fucked up.
She left for Dragonstone, and that was the last time Jaime ever saw her, I think.
Yeah.
Again, definitely not a 100% parallel, but there's some.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, go figure. The king's a huge asshole.
It sucks for again. Like, we don't like Cersei, but like, who is going to protect her? The Kingsguard. Like, we saw from Jaime's perspective, the Kingsguard cannot, like, by vow, defend her. Like, no one can defend you against the king. So like.
Yeah,
again, we don't like Cersei, but it sucks. Like, what do you literally? There's nothing you can do. You can't take it to the police.
That's what I'm saying. Go figure. These kings are assholes, right? Like, like they have ultimate power, so of course they are gonna do some horrible shit.
And again, everybody knows I like Rhaegar, or I like Robert, right?
He's like Rhaegar.
It seems like he'd be cool, but obviously, like, reading this is like, obviously I'm not supporting this. When I say I like Robert, I'm not supporting this.
We know Robert's not he was a good soldier. He's never been we don't have any evidence
he was
of
a
him
good,
being
like,
a good guy.
buddy. Yeah.
He might have been he was a good friend to Ned, and he was a good warrior. He wasn't really good at anything else.
Horrible husband, horrible king. Yeah, so.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So she did tell him once, and he started drinking right away, which pissed her off. And
this is interesting. He says it was the wine. It's not me. I don't remember. I don't try and do it. It's the wine. It's important because she says this exact same quote to Taina later when she's like, "Oh, that hurts." She's like, "It's the wine."
Well, I don't think it's that important, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that was kind of what I was talking about for sure.
It's a parallel
at the beginning.
That's the biggest parallel of the chapter.
That was what I said at the beginning, where you kind of see her turning into the thing she hated about Robert.
And again, I think she was just trying those pants on. It wasn't like she was drunk. Like, don't get me wrong, but she was like, "Oh, I remember being like." She's literally thinking about like, "All right, what was it like for Rob? Like, let me get into those shoes real quick." And what would he say? Like, "Oh, it's the wine, not me." Yeah, but
yeah. There's a point. I think we've talked about that before too. She's drinking all the time, which she used to. Jamie's even called her out on this. Like, you used to talk shit on Robert for drinking all the time. Now you're doing it. Like, I think to Kyle's, like, what Kyle's saying is like that's been a theme for Cersei the entire book so far, right? She's kind of.
Yeah.
I don't even just becoming
the thing she hates.
She didn't start off like this, but exactly, yeah. She's falling into it. Yep.
Although when he said that, she did smash her own horn of ale in his face. So I mean, she was drinking then too. So,
he tries to blame the wine. Well,
they drinks again.
She doesn't say her own horn of ale. She says her own horn.
It's like saying sorry. It was the liquor that got me as you're drinking a beer. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
What the fuck? Like, stop drinking.
So she smacks him in the face with her own cup, which is a horn, but I don't think it implies ale. So she might not have been drinking about that. Again, I was thinking the same thing you're thinking, Kyle.
We just had this conversation earlier that nobody drinks water in Westeros. Yeah. So let's go. Let's move on.
She had a watered down Summer Arbor.
So he got a chipped tooth from this, and she at one point later, Cersei had heard him telling some serving wench, like, "Oh, I got this chipped tooth in a melee," and she's like, "Well, at least that wasn't fully a lie because our marriage basically was a melee."
All right, so she thought of him a coward, and the takings, like I said earlier, it stopped happening as often, and then it became like once a year, and then once whatever. So, knock on the door again, and who wakes her up? I didn't have the name.
Just some guard.
Some guard. All right. So Lady Stokeworth is here. She wants an audience, and she gets ready. She gets dressed up, and Phallus comes in, face fucked up.
Phallus. Felice.
Felice.
I call her Felice. Phallus is a word for penis, but
yeah,
we can do that. It's funny.
Maybe
George might be going.
Maybe it was double entendre.
Yeah, I mean, George does that shit all the time.
So. All right, Felice comes in.
Phallus Strokeworth.
There you go. Right. And she's like,
"Dude, you're probably right. That's probably up with this."
Her name's Stokeworth, but anyway,
I know. But
she comes in, blah 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 blah. He killed him, and that's all. Yeah. That's all she said to start in her wails. Yep. Which
her face is fucked up, swollen face, clothes torn. Yeah, he killed him. He killed him. And she's like, "What happened?" Because Cersei, before she was down to meet, she thinks like, "Tell her to meet me tomorrow. I'll learn the good news tomorrow." Thinking, okay, you did what I told you, and you played this fake death, right? But no.
What was supposed to? I forget, man. Can you refresh my?
She's supposed to take Bronn out hunting, or
she wasn't very explicit, but she was like, "Oh, it would really help me out if Bronn died in a hunting mishap." And Baldwin's like, okay. "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Yes." And like, fatal.
Yeah, I remember that part. Yeah,
she's like,
"Kill him."
Yeah, like no breathing afterwards, like not a twisted ankle. Yeah, so she was pretty explicit without actually coming out and saying it, and exactly.
But we find out that Baldwin's dumbass challenged Bronn to single combat, and Bronn's already won 1-0. Like,
yeah, in the Eyrie for Tyrion you're talking about.
Yeah, in the Vale
of what we've seen. Yeah,
in the Vale. So he was cocky and was like, "Oh, he's not a real knight. Like, I'm built for this lance, and I'm gonna run him down, and then I'll kill him." Well, turns out Bronn didn't fight fair. He took his lance, killed the horse, and the horse fell on Baldwin. And then Bronn starts doing a little detective work.
Who sent you, or did Cersei send you?
Confess.
Yeah.
Admit it. What's going on?
Yeah.
And Cersei's like, "Did Baldwin bring up my name?" And basically, she doesn't say it right away.
So yeah, it comes out later.
Yeah.
But so Felice Phallus?
Felice.
So Felice is like, yo, I need 100 men now. I need crossbowmen too. I need my castle back. That's my castle. And she's like, yeah, I really don't give a fuck. Did Bowman drop my name?
Yeah.
What was my name?
Bronn basically told her to get the fuck out, and people were calling him Lord Stokeworth now.
Before she even left.
Yeah, before she left. And she doesn't fully admit that he said Bronn's name, but it's pretty heavily implied. He's like, well, he was in a lot of pain, and Bronn, like, he said he would give him mercy.
You meant Cersei's name?
Cersei's name. Yeah, sorry.
You said Bronn's name?
Yeah. She doesn't say if Balman gave up Cersei's name to Bronn, but it's kind of like heavily implied, right? She's like, well, he was like in a lot of pain and he promised him mercy. So it's like, to me, that's a yes, right?
Well, and he punched me. Yeah, exactly. And like Balman saw that.
Her name was said a whole lot. Cersei did it. It was Cersei's plan.
There's one part here, it was funny. Cersei's like, I told you guys to snuff out a candle and instead you threw a pot of wildfire on it. Like, how could you fuck this up?
It was a minor little thing I need you to do became a major thing.
Yeah, that now I have to deal with.
And Felicia's like, what about my mom, Lady Tanda?
And she's probably,
like, we heard it last Cersei chapter. She had a broken hip, or 2 Cersei chapters ago. Cersei's like, Bronn is definitely killing her. There's no way.
He doesn't give a shit about her. Yeah,
he took her out behind the woodshed.
Yeah. And Felicia's like, what am I supposed to do? And Cersei's like, marry fucking Moonboy. You like marrying fools apparently. So the fuck.
But she says, I think she actually tells her to join the Silent Sisters, where she can't say any words.
Yeah, keep your fucking mouth shut.
Yeah, pretty much swear yourself to secrecy. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm gonna get Qyburn up here. We'll clean your face up. I'll get you some food, some more wine. Like, keep drinking, keep eating this food. Let me talk to Qyburn. We'll get you all ready. Hey, Qyburn, you need some more women? I just got you one more. Send her down.
Oh yeah, I do. The puppeteers are all used up.
So yeah, this kind of goes into the
Rat King theory.
Yeah, something like that. That back to that theory.
Frankengiant. I like it.
Yep.
So she's thinking of Jaime.
No, she's thinking of Bronn mocking her with the baby and just everything now. Just sitting in Stokeworth, just laughing at Cersei.
Yeah, what I had in my notes was after she sends Felice away, she's like, I'm surrounded by fools. She's thinking about how much Felice is an idiot, and she's like, I can't even trust my kin anymore. Yeah. Thinking of Jaime and Kevin.
Everybody's stupid in her eyes.
But yeah, you're right. She's like, I never actually thought Tyrion was with Bronn, even though she definitely thought that in the chapter when she met with Felice last time.
Well, she thought that for at least a moment, right? Like, she thinks everything for at least a moment, it feels like, where she's like, oh, this is it. This is it. This is it. Oh, I figured it out.
She thought that wholeheartedly that entire chapter.
Yeah. I know.
Here, she even explains why she's telling herself now that she never thought that for a moment. Because later, Taena was like, I don't think he's actually there. Like, if Tyrion was actually there, he'd be smarter than to have them name a child after him. That would just draw your attention. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, yeah, you're right. That makes a ton of sense.
I definitely was thinking that, too.
I was thinking that the whole time. I never actually thought. Exactly. That's kind of that's how I see it.
And she's like, I'll get my revenge. Maybe Loras on his way back and go kill him. And maybe they'll both die there, too, like Eric and Eric.
Yeah, little history throwback. This is interesting because to me, this seems like Cersei's answer to everything this chapter is literally do nothing.
Well,
that's her answer every chapter.
Let Loras do
1,000 ships is attacked on the Reach. Do nothing.
Not
literally
here.
Do nothing.
It's not here.
She has been saying this the whole time. She's like, fuck all that. I'm worried about me. That's been her like ruling mantra.
But she even thinks this one, she's like, I don't want a war on our doorstep. We'll worry about this later. Like, you think leaving Bronn in charge isn't going to start a war? I mean, what's he going to do? He's just small. He has like a handful of sellswords, but like, I don't know. This doesn't seem like something you just we'll deal with that one later. Like, that's her answer. We'll deal with that later.
I think this is one of the more maybe you can deal with it later things because it is
so small. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Just I think it's funny that seems to be her approach to everything. But yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's how she's been ruling.
All right, so she goes back to our girl Taena, and she's glad that she's king enough to rise up twice in the same night. Because Robert, no way would his drunk ass would have gotten out of bed. Probably not even for the first time. It would have had to been Jon Arryn that had to go answer the call. But no, Cersei's king enough to go up and get it done. So she starts pulling a Rob on Taena. Just starts grabbing at her.
Play with her nipples. Taena wakes up.
Taena's about it.
She's like, do you like that? Taena's like, yeah. And she starts like hurting her, pinching it. And she's like, I don't like that. And so she's like, oh, it's the wine. Which is, the Robert quote.
Yeah. Or maybe it was just a little too much.
She seems to do it on purpose because after she says, I'm gonna claim my
She
rights.
like purple nurpled her, right?
And then
Which
purple
like
nurpled the other side after she said it hurt me.
Yeah.
She like does more. Yeah. And she says, I'm gonna claim my rights. But yeah, eventually I guess Tana starts to dig it.
Tana starts to dig it for sure. I think she's because she stops purple and nurpling her and starts,
Yeah.
you know, playing. You know,
She moved on. Yeah,
she moved south, but Cersei's just finding no pleasure in this.
I actually didn't note it. I think there's a famous line in this one, the Mirror Swamp.
Yeah,
Somewhere in there. I didn't notice it, but I know it's a famous.
It's
one of
in there. I
George's
saw
famous
it.
Game of
sex,
Thrones
The queen slid a finger into that mirror swamp,
exactly.
then another, moving him in and out. But once he spent himself inside you, he would have been hard pressed to recall your name. That's she was thinking about Robert.
Yeah, she's thinking about Robert. Robert would have liked you at least for an hour, then he might have not remember your name. Exactly. Keep going, Kyle. This next little quote is one of the best ones in the
Are
Game
you
of
scared
Thrones.
to read it? Is that what's happening here? You're giggling like a little schoolboy here.
I was gonna read it because I didn't think any of you guys were gonna agree to, but Kyle started early, so just go ahead.
Go ahead, Cal.
I don't give a shit. She wanted to see if it would be as easy with a woman as it had always been with Robert. 10,000 of your children perished in my palm, your grace, she thought, slipping a third finger into Mir. Whilst you snored, I would lick your sons off my face and fingers one by one, all those pale, sticky princes. You claimed your rights, my lord, but in the darkness I would eat your heirs.
That's a quote. That's
That's
a
a
quote
quote
right
right
there.
there.
What a fucking weirdo. Why wouldn't you just like
She could have
wipe
wiped. She
that
could have wiped
shit
it off.
on? Yeah.
She could have grabbed the
Yeah,
napkin.
like, they weren't in you. They weren't actually his heirs at that point, Cersei.
She enjoyed that part of it, I guess.
It doesn't make as good of a quote as I wiped your princes off on a mat.
Yeah.
Or on,
No,
on
for
a
sure. It definitely does not.
yeah.
But man, it's a diabolical mindset.
It's absolutely crazy.
Yep. And then she started thinking about her fingers being boar tusks and ripping up Tana.
Yeah, because she starts like moaning and she's like, "Wow, you sound like a gore." So it sounds like she's like Tana basically orgasms, but she's like, "Wow, you sound like a boar is killing you," which makes me wonder, like, is it a fake orgasm?
No comment.
No comment.
I think that's weird.
Can't speculate on that.
I think you're crossing lines. Yeah.
I think it depends on how good of an actor you are to be TBH.
Well, like I guess I was thinking
I also
that 'cause
don't
in
know
this
that's
moment,
what she's
Tana,
saying.
in this moment, I'm thinking like, does Tana actually want to be here? Or is she just trying to get it over with?
I don't think that's what. I didn't get that.
I think it's more of Cersei's just like, man, well, I'm not having any pleasure here. Like, maybe if I was killing you with boar tusks, I'd have more fun. Because, again, maybe it's more, I didn't enjoy having sex with you, Robert, but I enjoyed when
I
that
see.
boar tusk killed you. Like, that was great pleasure to me.
I was saying that her moans might sound like someone getting killed by a boar because she's faking it. You're saying you think Cersei's just interpreting that way because she's trying to make herself enjoy this more.
Yeah, she's trying to find pleasure.
Yeah.
And other than Jamie, if she gets to, Jamie's the only one she's had pleasure with. The only other time, or the most recent time, probably was when she killed Robert with the boar tusk. Right. That's the lines I'm drawing. So
yeah, no, I think that makes total sense. Yeah. Kyle, thoughts? Did you want to say something?
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was more just like this lady she's screaming too loud for me. It's taking me out of the moment kind of thing. so I got like this isn't what I'm into. She's screaming like a wild banshee kind of thing.
yeah, and I do think it's like she's screaming her, even if it's real, fake, yada yada. She's screaming, "I'm not enjoying this."
Yeah.
All right, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I'm done here.
The interesting thing about kind of what we were just saying is she does say that the only one it was still no good. The only one that had ever been good with was Jamie. I think that's interesting because in Jamie's perspective, his mindset is she's never loved me. She's only ever had sex with me when she's trying to use me, which does seem partially true, right? Like, again, like she seems to be, she's sleeping with him saying like, I want, and he knows she wants Arya dead, not her, right? So, but now we're in her own mind and she's saying Jamie's the only one, right? So Jamie's going through this crazy jealousy arc. But even in her, like, if he knew what she was actually thinking, I don't think he would have as big of a problem with it. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, she's still kind of awful.
I agree.
I think,
but again, like
I think you're half and half.
He's at the point right now that he doesn't believe really anything that she's saying, right? So, like, even if she went to him and be like, Jamie, I really enjoyed it with you, he'd be like, fuck you, you're lying to me again. Like, I can't trust you.
I agree, but I guess my point is like, if he could somehow read this line through his head, through her head. Again, I think she's like, and she's partly lying to herself. I think I don't know. It's a weird situation.
I don't think she's lying.
Well, I think that's part of it, right? I think she did use him a bunch, so I think it's unfair for that, right? Like just because she enjoyed it, I think she was still using him.
I agree. I agree with that, Kyle.
I'm not married. You guys can probably, I don't want to throw your wives under the bus, but I bet you there's a time when like your wife was like, you know what? I bet you I can.
That's crazy talk.
I can get my husband to do something if I sleep with him real quick.
I hope not.
I don't think that's true at all.
No? You don't think your wife has ever influenced you sexually on purpose?
No.
I hope not. I don't think so, no.
What to do what? Take the trash out?
I guess my point,
what are we talking
and maybe
about?
I'm totally wrong. I guess my point is just because you love someone doesn't mean every once in a while you're not going to like flash a boob to get him to mow the lawn or something. You know what I mean? Like whatever, however that works.
I mean, it shouldn't be transactional.
I'm not saying that's how the whole relationship works, but I bet you in a healthy marriage that happens.
I mean, that's kind of turning sex into transactional benefit then, like, and that's weird, man. I don't know.
Okay.
That's
you
not
guys
for
are the
me.
married one, so maybe I'm just totally wrong, and maybe I'm a weird.
Yeah, I mean,
weird
some people might be into that, I guess.
I guess my main point is I
hope not.
I don't think trying to like influence someone with your sexuality or with any other thing that you have is like necessarily means you don't also love them. It might not mean it's as healthy as it could be. It might be fair. That might be a fair point.
You shouldn't be manipulating, I guess, your loved one that way.
Okay.
Coercing them using.
I guess I see it maybe happening in a way that's not super manipulative, but that's a fair point. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. You shouldn't need to do that to get someone you love to do something for you. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. That's good talk. I'll take it. Like where we
Jeff's
ended
just giving me weird eyes, but yeah. Cersei's like, get the fuck out.
I'm ready to wrap it up.
Cersei's like, get the fuck out. I have what I want from you. And then she's like, tomorrow it'll be forgotten like it never happened. End scene.
It had
End
never
scene.
happened.
Taina, fuck off. I'm going to bed.
Yep.
Well, it is morning though. That's the
you
worst
could
part.
sleep in though, and you're the queen.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
All right, Kyle. Thoughts, Cersei. All of your thoughts.
I mean, I think we spilled them all out already, right? Like,
Sounds good to me.
I don't know. I like Loras, that whole side. I don't think he's. I don't know. He does seem like he's trying for glory, but I don't think so. I don't believe anybody's doing what they say they're doing in this book, and I'm sorry for that.
I don't think Loras is out glory hunting. I think he's more so doing his family duty. Would be my thought.
Okay,
there.
I like that.
I guess what I don't care why he's doing it. What do you? Not for Jeff, for Kyle. What do you think will be the outcome?
I think he, like I said, I still think he's going to somehow try and find a way to get south without fulfilling the Dragonstone thing.
Just take the fleet somehow.
Yeah,
or some of it at least. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. I like it.
We'll
see Kyle in the next one for Jamie.
36.
It's definitely Jamie 5.
Jamie 5.
I don't know why you even bothered looking it up when I just told you what it was.
See Kyle, and in that one, see the rest of you guys in the spoil section. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you on the next one for Jamie 5. Jeff, got anything?
I got an early line, and it's more of just kind of the symbolism around Cersei, I guess. But she brings it up, and she's like, the shadows of enemies are closing in on her, which, I don't know, I'm trying to think more outside the lines of what do the shadows mean. You know, I think if it does come down to it where she's in a White Walker situation, right? Like,
I thought I didn't actually notice that one, but there was a few mentions I noticed where she was, when she's in the throne room, she mentions like the shadow of the Iron Throne casting over her.
Correct.
Oh, I think you're right. That the quote you're talking about is in the same area. She's like, there was only like one torch in the room. The shadow of the Iron Throne was upon her, but the shadows from like the edge of the hall were creeping in. And then later, when she's talking to Taina, I think she thinks about the shadow that was over her, of like the shadow of the Iron Throne that was sitting over her.
My enemies are everywhere, and my friends are useless. The torches on the back wall drew through the long, barbed shadow of the Iron Throne halfway to the doors. The far end of the hall was lost in darkness, and Cersei could not but feel that the shadows were closing around her too.
Yeah, and then later when she's with Taina, she thinks of the shadow of the Iron Throne over her across the hall.
While she's diddling her?
I think it's the first part when she's with her, but I don't remember. It might be the second part.
A candle was burning by her bedside, but the hearth fire had gone out, and there was no other light. The room was cold as well. No, it's not. I was hoping it was going to be it. Nope, I ain't got it. But, I don't know. I was just thinking, like, alright, so shadows are closing in on Cersei, because, like, nothing really shadowy quotes in her, like the High Septon and the Sparrows do, but like that's not really shadowy. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking shadow baby. We know. I don't know what the fuck's
No,
gonna
ice is
kill
definitely a
Cersei
weird.
at the end of the
Shadow
day.
is definitely like a weird word in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So perked my attention.
I think you were close. It's right after she comes in to see Tina. Tina says, "Is aught amiss?" "No," said Cersei, "all is well. On the morrow Sir Loras will sail for Dragonstone to win the castle, lose the Red Wine fleet, and prove his manhood to us all." She told the Mirror Woman all that had occurred beneath the shifting shadow of the Iron Throne. So, when she describes the council chamber to Tina, it's all that had happened under the shadow of the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a weird line that popped out to me too. So,
All right. I don't have shit else.
the only one that I had was more like the cripple did not have his watchtowers manned, and now he fears to have us know it. Little Queen is making excuses for her brother. Cersei's mouth was dry. I need a cup of arbor gold. And then she goes into talk how if the arbor is attacked, they might run out of wine. But arbor gold's an interesting like Game of Thrones term because Littlefinger earlier in this book had told Sansa, "Hey, when Nestor Royce comes up, we're going to feed him arbor gold, lies and arbor gold, and he's going to ask for more." So people think basically anytime someone's drinking arbor gold or talking about arbor gold, basically they're asking, there's lies going on. They're being fed lies along with it.
I remember that conversation.
So I don't know what it means here, but Cersei, I just mentioned anytime someone mentions arbor gold and Cersei says her mouth was dry, I need a cup of arbor gold. It's almost like
She wants more lies, being fed to her.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's right after she says, "More like the cripple did not have his watchtowers manned. Now he fears to have us know it. The little queen is making excuses for her brother." So she assumes that Willis...
So she's implying that it's lies that are being fed to her.
Exactly. She's almost lying to herself. And then she's like, her mouth was dry. I need a cup of arbor gold. So I want lies, basically, but she's not getting lies. Or I don't know. I don't know how you could read it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But
it is what it is.
That's the only actual quote that I wrote down. The only other thing I think we can talk about is...
Bars?
Actually, one thing. Did you catch that I kind of tricked Kyle into a sneaky prediction about Jaime and Cersei?
About him coming back for?
Yeah. Somehow, I don't even remember how I got to it now, but somehow I asked him if Cersei sent a letter to Jaime basically saying, "I need you or else I'm going to die. Would Jaime come?" And Kyle's like, "Yeah, I think you still would."
Yeah. I didn't even put two and two together. That's literally like where Jaime's storyline ends.
I was fishing for that, so I was kind of happy that I was able to sneak that little question in without him realizing it was quite pointed.
Yeah, no, that's
and he's wrong. He said, "I think Jaime would come back."
Right, and Jaime heads.
We talked about this actually in the last Jaime spoiler section. You argued that he might have just ripped it up and burned it so that no one else would ever see it, and he might actually come back.
Of course.
But I think we do see him in Dance of Dragons go and meet Brienne. So it seems like he's
you
going on.
You can do two things at once.
You can do two. Brienne first, Cersei after. But so I think you're potentially right. The other thing is he did guess the mountain.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of when I brought my point up last time. Oh, I do have some things I want to talk about actually, but this is one where like if you read with any sort of comprehension, you know it's the mountain, right? Like
you know something sus is going on here. But I guess one thing I will say is I think there's a chapter. I don't know if it's later in this book or if it's early in Dance. I think it's early in Dance. Basically, Balon Swan gets to Dorne, and they talk about how the skull he brought is the biggest skull they've ever seen.
Sure.
That definitely throws it. Like one of the things Kyle said is, "Yeah, but you can just send any skull." But that's not true if it's the biggest skull you've ever seen.
It's definitely not true. But like, we know. I mean, I guess they would be able to tell. Like, I don't know what because the head thing again. All right, let me start over. The whole mountain thing. We didn't see him actually die. He doesn't go off just screaming to then. Oh, nope. Sorry, he's actually dead. We're gonna send his head south now. Like, sorry, we couldn't save him. Like, that just doesn't. Things aren't adding up, right? Like, Cersei doesn't give a shit about Dorne. She's not just gonna do them what the favor that they want. So, the big head, I don't know. Like, I know that some of the dwarfs had bigger heads. Like, they're also dwarf hunting right now. Like, could one of them? Did they find a big head? Like, at some point, was someone known for King's Landing for just having a big head? I don't know. But it's the mountain. Like, come on, it's the mountain. I like the. I mean, it's weird why he's taking women. Like, I don't understand what that is. Like, are they just like blood bags for him? Like, is it just blood?
I don't think anyone really knows for sure.
Kind of like Mad Max, where they're just like literally like taking blood from a living person and just pumping it into until they don't have any blood left.
So listen to this. This is from Brand 3 Game of Thrones. I've been looking for this quote. I think this is what he's having. He's falling. He's having his crow dream.
Okay.
He basically sees all the world. He looked to the south and he saw a great blue-green rush of the trident. He saw his father pleading with the king, his face etched with grief. He saw Sansa crying herself to sleep at night. He saw Arya watching in silence and holding her secrets hard in her heart. There were shadows all around them. One shadow was dark as ash, with the terrible face of a hound. Another was armored like the sun, golden and beautiful. Over them both loomed a giant in armor made of stone. But when he opened his visor, there was nothing inside but darkness and thick black blood.
Okay.
So, 3 people. One shadow was dark as ash with the terrible face of the hound. Ash, hound, the hound.
Okay.
Another was armor like the sun, golden and beautiful. Most people think Jaime. He's the only one that we really know that wears golden armor. And then over them both loomed a giant in armor made of stone. In this chapter, we hear of somebody getting armor that no one can walk in. When he opened his visor, there was nothing inside but darkness and thick black blood. We were literally just talking about what could these women be used for except for blood. And, okay, if the mountain doesn't have a head, because they actually sent it to Dorm, then what would you see when you open the visor of a helmet of a guy that didn't have a head?
But he's got a head.
People think he's literally like the headless horseman.
No.
No? Why not?
Come on.
People think that Qyburn resurrected him the same way like the others resurrected White, or the same way Beric basically comes back. Why is a head necessary for that? I guess is the thought.
Okay. I'll play ball. Or he sewed another head. Did he sew another head on top?
Other people think because the name is Robert Strong, some people think it also might have Robb Stark's head or Robert Baratheon's head, because Robb Stark's body got a wolf head sewn on. What happened to the actual head? I don't know. And I think Joffrey did say, I want Robb's head sent back so I can feed it to Cersei at my wedding. Mm-hmm. So there might actually have been an order to send Robert's head back.
But that'd be a skull head by the time it got back. It wouldn't be a face.
I agree, but who the fuck? If we're dealing with headless people, is a skull head on top any that much crazier?
If it's gonna be a skull, it might as well be headless. I don't know.
Again, nobody knows. This was cool. I think we do see him show up barely, kind of like the scene in the show where he shows up and picks Cersei up for the first time. But I think that's all we really got before the books are over. So this is one that we don't have an answer on, but I think the mountain is pretty accepted as correct.
For sure.
Pretty cool for Kyle.
All right. The last thing I really have is Pycelle being actually right this whole meeting.
He's right on I've claimed this the entire
You've mentioned
book.
That too. Yeah. Pycelle is giving great counsel, and she's not taking any of it.
It's kind of great. Yeah.
It is pretty great. Because she just shuts him down like he's the stupidest thing ever. And I think he was right on everything that he said.
Yeah, and like he has no ulterior
Maybe
motives.
Not Loras. Like I don't really care about Loras.
Yeah, I don't know. Who cares?
If Loras died at Dragonstone, like it's not that big of a ripple in the effect of what's going on.
In terms of why it's actually bad is because he's probably the actually best Kingsguard at this point. Like the rest of the Kingsguard actually just sucks. Like Jaime doesn't have a hand.
Agreed.
Not actually good at fighting. Like Boros,
none
Meryn,
of them. Yeah, none of them can
Balon
fight.
Swan's okay, but he's gone.
Yeah.
Aerys okay, but he's also dead. They just don't know about it yet. So, like the only okay ones that are gone or missing a hand. So Loras is definitely the best. Just like
wait, how many people are in the King's Landing right now? Who was guarding Tommen?
There was 4 here. The other 3 are gone. Jaime, Balon, and Aerys.
So nobody was guarding Tommen in bed.
I guess not. Yeah, no.
Gosh.
Yeah, no. We just counted for all of them. It's the
you just counted everybody.
Today.
Everybody was there.
Because they don't.
Everybody was there.
The capital doesn't know that
gone.
Aerys Oakheart's dead, so he's number 7. Yeah,
unbelievable.
That's kind of weird. I didn't think about that. Yeah. And the last thing that I just kind of wanted to touch on is Loras. We kind of do hear a little bit about Loras. What happens with this? Do you remember?
I remember him getting like wounded.
Exactly. We hear he takes Dragonstone, but he gets pretty fucked up. But we only hear he gets pretty fucked up. I think a lot of fans think he's not. Yeah,
he's actually on a ship to the Mander.
I think we know he's on his way back, or he's like being taken. I mean, that's a possibility. Like, we definitely haven't seen him in person since like after this. This is the last we see him in person. He could be dead. He seems kind of like a character a little too big to die off screen, which I think is the main evidence for why fans think he's not. dead.
Has anybody actually important died off screen? No.
But like we just said, is Loras really that important?
Sure. No.
I wouldn't be. If you ask me right now, do I think Loras is going to die off screen? I would say no. But if he did die off screen, I don't think I would be very surprised by it.
Well, let's just say this: if Jaime died, would it really cause that big of a ripple? No. You just need a new head of the Kingsguard.
I think it would cause a lot of a huge ripple in like the minds of POV characters, though. Where Loras wouldn't. Like we'd get a couple paragraphs, maybe a page or two of Cersei being like, "This is so great," which is like what we do, and then no one would ever think of it again. Like Jaime would be like a Ned Stark death, where it's brought up by characters every chapter till the books are over.
I guess depending on how he died, but sure. I mean, I think Lars' death would ring through the Seven Kingdoms too. But
yeah, I mean, we get mentions of him.
I just don't think it would affect their warriors. Like they die. You know, it's
and we got to start killing people off. We have too many main characters.
People gotta die. People gotta die.
I don't think it's crazy that what we've heard of Loras, which I think is that he got like a lot of boiling oil poured on him and stabbed, and like he might make it through, but if he does, he'll be like Lancel basically. Like he's not coming.
Nah,
through.
He'll be okay. I think he bounces back.
I think is how it's kind of portrayed to us.
He bounces back and dies. I hope they all get blown up in the Sept. I hope that stays real. I want that scene.
Well, I think what's going on with Loras is separate to that, but yeah, that's all I had.
Do you think Lars gets on trial for being with Renly?
I don't think no.
Okay, so you don't think he kind of takes Lancel's spot in the show, right?
Well, that was part of how Cersei gets in trouble, and we don't need that. Cersei's in trouble without that. In this book, so I don't think we need that. So that's my main reason for no. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be. I mean, I could see that happening, but I think if he's alive, it's more likely that he's alive in a way that's totally like a fuck you to Cersei.
Yeah.
So
I just hope she blows up the Sept. I hope she blows up the Sept.
One of the things I've been doing a little more research on, I think one of the theories is that the red wines are kind of working with Fagon, or are very quick to join Fagon's side. One of the evidences for this, I think, is in the Winds of Winter chapters, I think we hear that Fagon has taken Storm's End, and it's like seems pretty fucking easy.
Didn't he just who was with Jon Con?
Yeah, Fagon and Jon Con.
I thought they just got on the beach of Dragonstone.
No, I think the end of Dance of Dragons, they take back Griffin's Roost, Jon Con's home family, which is a little bit south of Storm's End.
Okay.
And then I think in a Winds of Winter chapter, we hear that they've taken Storm's End.
Oh, you're reading ahead, cheater.
Yeah. So I guess my point is, I think there's some theories that they could be working with the red wines. If they're working with the red wines, could they be? If Loras is like
working with the Tyrells
alive and with them, could Loras kind of be on their and the Tyrells be on their side too? Again, I haven't done enough looking into this because we're not dealing with Fagon yet.
Just marry Marjorie off again to Fagon.
Who knows? And there's theories that Sansa will marry Fagon, right? But
all right, we'll see it when we get Winds of Winter in 2028.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Fagon and Dance of Dragons for sure once Fagon shows up. But
all right, let's sign off.
We'll see you guys in the next one for Jamie 5.
Bye.
Bye.